it's Bev.
And it's Marq.
And we are
The Redmonds.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Meet the Redmonds. And guess what?
Meet the Redmonds is our podcast journey about marriage, second chances, and unyielding love. In Season 2, my husband Marq and I share laughs, lessons, and life with some great friends that we meet along the way. We promise to keep the conversation relevant, churchy, and old school. It's a mix we call the Redmond Way. Meet the Redmonds streams every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. across all time zones on Facebook, YouTube, and OCPITV.com. We'll meet up with you soon.
Everybody, it's Bev.
And it's Marq.
And we are
The Redmonds.
We are on another exciting episode of Meet the Redmonds. And this week, hon, we're talking about defending your spouse.
Can I defend that sweatshirt? Because that's a nice looking sweatshirt of the Bulls.
That's much appreciated. But defending your spouse, we are talking about it today. And what got us on this subject?
Well, we saw a clip, and we're always perusing clips that can give us some spiritual clarity on our topic. So we saw this clip about this pastor that was defending his wife.
You know, getting a simple assault charge.
57-year-old Pastor Dwayne Waden tells me this all started back in May when his wife got a job at the McDonald's on South Main Street in High Point. The Wadens claim she was being mistreated while on the job. Waden says corporate was notified but claims nothing changed. The pastor says he went to pick his wife up from work last Thursday after she called him claiming she was being harassed again.
She went back in the back to get her keys. And when she went back to get her keys, the gentleman came from behind, which was a manager, mouthing off at me and disrespecting my wife. He got in my face.
All right, and we're back. Hopefully you got a chance to see the clip and, formulated your own thoughts on what you would have done if that was your spouse. And what do you think about that?
From the wife's perspective, I don't blame the gentleman, the pastor, for doing what he did. He thought, believed, and we have to trust that his wife was in some danger at her job. And I know I get great comfort in being able to tell my husband about my day, and it will frustrate him if he feels like I'm not being treated well. And I do rely on his strength. And if he thought that I was in danger, I believe Marq would be right there doing quite the same thing. And hopefully it wouldn't he wouldn't end up in jail like this gentleman did.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
I would have done as much talking. That's just not my style.
That's not your style, but what happens if things go too far and this man ended up in jail?
You know what? That's a tough route to go. I don't know. You just can't I don't know when enough is enough. If somebody is putting you in danger,
in physical danger,
I got to do what I got to do.
And this gentleman felt like he had to do the same thing, but in the end, he said, he learned a lesson not to get drawn into other people's chaos.
Yeah, but I don't know how you can keep from getting drawn into that. If something happened, I'm going to spring into action, and I don't know if there's an easy on-off switch to diffuse that.
Fair enough. So what's happening when you get a call like that as a husband? What does that do for you?
It depends on your level of reaction. Now, if you call me and you crying, then I don't know what. It is what it is.
That would be rare.
Just send all donations for bail money to redmondprojects.com. You see the information scrolling at the bottom of the screen, along with our 2 award-winning books. So we're going to need all the help that we could get if this situation arises.
So we really did understand where the pastor was coming from on both sides. As a wife, I want to feel protected by my husband. And as a protector, you felt like, hey, you've got to swing into action and protect your wife. But in real life, y'all, there are true consequences even when you feel like you're doing the right thing. So having that exit strategy and being able to keep your head as much as you possibly can. I always tell Marq, your job every day is to get home to me. And I would think my job is the same.
Now, there's been occasions where you've had to step in and save me because I was on a mission to wreck shop, and you had to pull me by the collar and say, hey, chill, you need to calm down, don't do that.
You really want me to tell the stories?
You can tell one or two.
Which one do you want me to tell?
You can tell the cab driver story.
Okay. Now, there's no secret that we fly back and forth between Seattle and Chicago. And there was one night Marq was traveling by himself. I think it had been a long night. He had a connecting flight. I'm back at home waiting for him to arrive. And our routine is as soon as you land, you call, you get your bags, you call and tell the other that you're on the way home. And that space between airport and home should only take about 25 minutes. I laid there enough to kind of fall asleep. And then I got a call that said, babe, come open the door before I get really upset. I'm like, what in
She's
the
paraphrasing.
world? I am paraphrasing for the good of the saints.
Oh, well, let me give you the abbreviated version because you're gonna tell them everything. I know when I fly home and I get from Seattle to back to our apartment. I know how much it costs. It's gonna run me about $65, $70. Got that in my head. Got that programmed. I know exactly what I'm gonna pay.
Same.
So
it could almost cost up to $100. Let's put that way. Go ahead.
So it's not gonna cost up to $100.
I always budget at $100.
Right, but we know it shouldn't be any more than $75 at the most. So I get back to the crib and the guy tells me $89. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. It's not $89 between the airport and our apartment. It should be no more than about $70, $75. Well, it's $89. Now, mind you, he didn't show me any, the meter or anything. It's like he just randomly
gave you a number.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So instantly, my Chicago spidey sense begins to tingle, and it says to me, this dude trying to hustle me. So I step into full Chicago mode. Like, listen, man, you're not going to hustle me. This is what I'm going to give you. No more, no less. Mm-hmm. So he begins to try to loud talk me. And one thing led to another. And Beverly had to come in and save the day and kind of keep me from
going to jail. Yes.
Yes.
Me coming out of the apartment to come and get him, loud, both of them at the top of their voices, out on the streets, and I would say suburban, urban, not truly urban, Seattle. We have not encountered police activity since we've been here, and we don't encounter it very much back home in Chicago. I didn't know what to expect. All I know is that my husband is a very big black man out on the streets. I'm sorry. That's what came into my mind. I don't know how he's going to be treated. I don't know what this other person across from him is going to do. So I put myself in between my husband and this driver and pushed my husband back into the apartment. Which you shouldn't have
done. You need to give me free open space. I can't defend myself, let alone you, if you in the way.
At that point in time, I saw the situation as a crisis for us. So,
wives, spouses, don't get in the way of your wife, of your husband, if he's trying to negotiate or reason with somebody, please don't step in his way, and don't step in front of him. If you're gonna pull me from the back, not in between.
Have you seen you?
Have you seen? What kind of English is that?
Have you seen you?
Yeah.
You know who you are and the size. I can't pull my husband anywhere. I
Listen.
have to go.
I'm Betty and Eugene's son. This is a full breakfast right here. I'm talking bacon,
Listen.
eggs, potatoes, and
Listen,
toast.
what I know,
Huh.
you may be all of that, and that's true. But listen, wives, for real. For all of you who pray, for all of you who sit there and want to see your husband at his best, not at his worst, sometimes when he can't operate, and I hear what you're saying, that I shouldn't step in, but if I have the wisdom and the clarity at that moment, I am going to step in and try to help you.
And that is a good segue to how do you defend your spouse with the word? You know, these were just lighthearted physical moments, but now we're going
Not lighthearted.
well,
Okay.
but now we're going to deal with how do you defend your spouse or keep them covered with the word?
I think, well, first of all, you have to be in your word. You have to know what it says about you and your spouse. You also, what happens out in public has to be practiced in private. So whatever you do there at home, you need to do outside. It won't just automatically come. So how I treat my husband at home is how I will treat him outside. We don't argue in public. I set a standard for how I expect to be treated, and he sets one too when we are out there among people, and we practice that at home.
And what do you always say? Wherever you pitch your tent,
Sometimes where you pitch your tent is where you're going to have the circus.
right?
But
you know what? There's a good Bible verse that kind of talks about how you should approach your spouse. I think it's Ephesians 5:25 that says, "Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church." So we all know how Christ loves the church. If we use that just little snippet of wisdom, if we love our spouse like Christ loved the church, that's going to kind of be the blueprint as to how we're going to deal with defending our spouse.
for sure, everything is not a battle. Let's start spiritually. How do you prepare to protect your spouse?
Well, the vows.
The vows you take.
Is it love? Well, it's been so long. Love, honor, protect.
What? Cherish?
Is it protect in the vows too?
It's in the police officer's oath, but I don't know that it's in our spouses.
I thought protect was in the vows.
We'll look up the traditional wedding vows.
Ah, man, protect is in there.
Okay, protect is in there if you want it to be. Okay. But no, I believe the protection for your marriage and the protection for both of you starts in prayer. The prayers that we pray together, we've been doing something since we've been on a consecration at our church. And one of the prayers that Marq always prays is be a hedge of protection around my spouse. And I don't know how many times we grew up knowing that and hearing that, but it really makes me feel good to know that my husband is asking the Lord to be all around me.
Well, it's my job. It's our job to take care of each other. And going all the way back to Genesis, 2nd chapter, you know, a man leaves his father and his mother, and they become one flesh.
They leave and cleave.
Right.
Remember, if you've been around church, you've heard that, leave, cleave, that it's just you and that spouse.
Right.
You are each other's company. You're each other's
But
brothers.
when I took your hand in marriage, me taking care of you no longer became, it's no longer your dad's job anymore, or your mom's job. It's my job.
Absolutely.
And I got to make sure that you stay covered.
You seem very serious about that.
Yeah, because you made it seem like I was just out there wilding out with the cab driver. It's, you just stay out the way.
No. I love my husband to pieces, and I want him to stand up, and I want him to be that man. I don't want him to be taken advantage of. Oh, there is nothing that irritates me more than someone trying to take advantage of my husband, particularly when it comes to health or his disability as an amputee. That will get my goat every day, all day, and I'm about it at that point in time. That doesn't mean everything is physical. We're not talking about clobbering everybody you see, but sometimes you have to put some boundaries down. How people treat you is really an example of how you treat each other.
Well, you said something also that you should not talk about your spouse to other people, and other people should not be talking to you about your spouse.
And I'm talking about in the negative. It's not that you can't have conversations with people, but speaking negatively about your spouse, that's a no-no. That is a no-no. Even in your challenges, it does not matter what's going on. We could have had a disagreement at home. You'll never know it outside of the doors. This is my guy. Tear.
A tear just ran down my cheek.
That's right.
No, it didn't. But I trust you. When you leave out that door, I know you have my best interest at heart. I got your best interest at heart. I don't have to worry about you going to work saying anything bogus. And likewise here. Proverbs 31 says, the heart of the husband trusts
in the wife.
Right.
He safely trusts in her. And Proverbs 31 is that prototypical Christian woman that many of us strive to be. It talks about how she goes out and she earns money, how she goes out and she prepares linens, how she's shrewd, but she brings that all back home to glorify and to really build up the home and support the husband and what he's doing, support the leader. So it is my honor, my pleasure that you trust me and I trust you.
Absolutely. Now, you know how a wife should be treated by your father, setting an example.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you recall any times where your father had to step up or your mother had to step up and protect each other?
Look, I'm going to say, and you may agree with this, our parents, we grew up in the 1970s, so that's our birth start. My dad, I would say, is a man's man, and particularly a black man. His family, his wife, that is what he represented all the time. I don't remember him not treating my mom well, not treating her with respect, and not expecting that of other people. I don't know a time when my mom was disrespected. It was just commonplace. That's Grace and Willie. That's Gracie. That's Willie. They were that couple, and I don't know that anybody came against that. But I do remember a time when my mom, someone called her on the phone about a business dealing. I think it was about we used to have paper routes. We kept some hustles going on in the Smith household. And this person was going in on my dad. She put that to a stop really quickly and said, look, that's my husband. You will never talk about him that way. And that phone went click. There was no more business. It was cut at that point. And we as kids, we turned around and were like,
But you know what? And same with Betty and Eugene. My dad didn't say two words, but he was gonna give you the business.
My dad says all the words.
No, my dad not
give
gonna
you the business at the same time.
My dad not gonna talk. He just gonna give it to you. But I think also And again, we're just not talking about physical. We don't want anybody going out, don't you dare say anything about my wife, and you going out ready to fight with a baseball bat. We're not talking about that. But keeping a hedge and keeping a covering could be something as simple as just making sure your spouse is taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Not leaving them vulnerable in any kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that they, one, present their best when they leave the house, when they come back in, that you're greeting them, that you're not leaving them at all emotionally vulnerable to anything else out there.
Right. Whether it be, something broken in the house and it needs to be fixed. Mm-hmm. Don't let your wife go without no heat. We're not gonna tell that story.
We're not. That's another story.
Right.
Another day, another time. But it's survivable. It's survivable. I just say, look, let no one outdo you treating your spouse well. Let no one down your spouse. Let no one come between you and him.
And just watch the company that you keep. My crew of friends, we have a long-standing rule. We don't talk about each other's spouses. We don't, that's just one thing that's a topic that's off limits.
So protection can be verbal too, not just the physical, but the verbal, what people are saying to your spouses. Some people get it, especially family sometimes. I can't say that I've had that from my family, but sometimes people feel like they can say little slick things. You gotta nip that stuff in the bud. And you can do it graciously. My husband tells me I can put somebody in their place without breaking a sweat, without getting loud, without doing anything. But no, you cannot allow people to sow seeds of destruction.
Yeah, I totally agree. You can chew people out and they won't even know what hit them.
They've been chomped up. There you go. Praise Jesus for wisdom.
Okay. So we talked about defending your spouse fit on the physical front.
So, Pastor, we understand. We do. Now he also had to pay a little bit of a price. He had an assault charge. So now you all think about what you're doing when you're out there, but do understand why he checked in and checked on his wife.
Yeah.
What else you got?
We talked about verbally and spiritually protecting your spouse. What about making sure that the mindset is okay? Sometimes, and we know spouses that, just keep chaos going, all the time. Whether it be, drama, arguments, that's not good for your psyche. I don't like to argue. I'm getting too old for it.
As much as you heard him talk about getting ready to give a two-piece to somebody.
No, I didn't say give a two-piece. I said this is a full breakfast right here.
Oh, snack pack.
Yeah, it ain't a snack pack.
Snack pack.
It's bacon, eggs, hash brown, and toast. You're going to get the complete breakfast.
Praise the Lord for Deacon. But he's serious about his family. Serious as well. Not to the point, again, of just losing our cool, but that righteous indignation, like, this is my husband. I'm his wife. We are a team. If you are messing with one, you are messing with the other.
But going back to the mental, you can't be a protector and keep a hedge around your family, your spouse, if you're causing dissension in the home.
Very true. Very true. That place of peace, I think we may have said it an episode or two ago, that I value peace more than anything. When I walk through the door, a lot of noise, a lot of confusion. No, the same for my husband. Even in our home, we're like clean corners. God, everything has to be peaceful in our space. And you're right. I didn't think about it that way, that it is a mental thing. If one of us is out there sowing discord or problems or keeping upheaval, a bunch of gossip, that means that the house can't rest.
There's nothing worse, and I'm about to get on my soapbox. Here I go. There's nothing worse for me than a gossipy man.
Gossipy man.
I just can't stand it.
How about just gossipy people?
When a brother, oh, let me tell you this, let me tell you that. Did you hear about this? Dude, chill. I can't deal with it. My wife said a gossipy person, but I'm just going to go out there. I can't stand a gossipy man.
I'm going to reiterate, a gossipy person, but how does that relate to protection and mental health?
Because what you bring into the home is going to kind of set the tone for the home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I come in, first thing I want to do, kiss my wife, hug, grab a seat on the couch, watch a little bit of TV, eat, and then we go into bed.
Mm-hmm.
When you bring extracurricular stuff and gossip and this and that, you're not keeping a hedge around your home.
You're not talking about unpacking your day or telling your spouse what's happening.
No.
Okay.
I'm not that. Just
Mm-hmm.
the extra stuff.
You just into stuff.
Just into stuff.
Other people's junk.
Yeah.
You're causing dissension like you're on a reality show.
Yes.
That kind of
Yeah.
confusion. Please, saints, I hope that your life is not a Real Housewives episode. That is not the example that we're striving for.
Yeah.
Not at all. But you're right. Mental health is very, very important. That peace that you keep around your marriage is very important. It's important to know and be able to see when your spouse is not having an easy time also.
Mm-hmm.
Not just your busybody. Don't do that. But what if your spouse is struggling? That protection, how do you cover them? How do you get them the help and resources?
Well, like you
they
said,
need?
what we've been doing every morning, every evening is just praying with each other.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't think of a better way to start your day. We talked about, defending your spouse. The first way you can defend anybody is making sure that the lines of communication is not blurred.
Mm-hmm. What about being offended? How do you deal with that? Because having spousal conversations about how you're doing, sometimes that's not always an easy thing to do. And often I find, and you tell me, I find that I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
How do you work through that if you're a wife talking to your husband?
Well, I know one of the things that I'm learning to do is to stop with the I'm good and tell you exactly what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to shield you, making sure that you're safe. I put on more than I should sometimes.
Stress.
Yeah, and
on
you
yourself.
you do the same.
Do it.
Yes, you do. And we could sit about this and talk about this all night. Hopefully you looked at our information at the bottom of the screen throughout the episode. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook, OCPI TV, and check out our 2 award-winning books, RedmondProjects.com. And we're going to get out of here with our catchphrase, it's not my way. Wrong. Wrong.
I'm stuck. I can't say anything. Okay.
Let's do it over
Start
again.
it again? All right. Take 2. Take 3.
It's not my wife's way.
It's not my full breakfast meal guy's way.
It's the Redmond way. Peace and blessings. We're out of here.